Ever heard of a man who vanished into thin air after pulling off one of the most daring heists in history? Meet D.B. Cooper, the name given to a mystery man who, in the year 1971, committed an audacious act of air piracy that has left the world baffled for over half a century. He hijacked a Boeing 727, demanded and received a hefty ransom, and then disappeared without a trace mid-flight over the Pacific Northwest. This captivating tale of intrigue and daring isn't just another crime story. It's a unique puzzle in the annals of crime, the only unsolved case of air piracy in the history of commercial aviation. Despite the best efforts of the FBI and multiple private investigators, no one has been able to conclusively prove who D.B. Cooper was, or what became of him after that fateful November night. Today, we delve into the enigma that is D.B. Cooper. It all began on a chilly November afternoon in 1971. The day was unremarkable, just like any other. But for the passengers and crew of Northwest Airlines Flight 305, it was a day they would never forget. They were unwitting participants in one of the most audacious heists in American history. The man at the heart of this mystery was one D.B. Cooper. Dressed in a business suit, he boarded the Portland to Seattle flight with nothing but a briefcase. He seemed like any other passenger, but his intentions were far from ordinary. Once comfortably seated, Cooper passed a note to a flight attendant. She initially dismissed it, thinking it was just a lonely businessman trying to flirt. But when he leaned over and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note, I have a bomb," she realized the gravity of the situation. The note was explicit. Cooper had a bomb, and he was ready to use it unless his demands were met. $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. The flight attendant conveyed the message to the cockpit, and the plane was immediately rerouted to Seattle. Back on ground, the authorities scrambled to meet Cooper's demands. The airline's president authorized the payment of the ransom, and the FBI sourced the parachutes. Meanwhile, the passengers were told that a minor mechanical issue had caused the delay. They sat oblivious to the drama unfolding around them. Finally, after hours of fraught negotiations, Cooper's demands were met. The cash in $20 bills and the parachutes were handed over. To the relief of everyone on board, Cooper released the passengers, keeping a few crew members for the next phase of his daring plan. With the ransom in his possession and the parachutes securely stowed, Cooper instructed the pilot to set a course for Mexico City. The plane took off into the night, leaving behind a bewildered group of investigators on the ground. And so, with his demands met, Cooper had the plane take off once again. His audacious heist was far from over, setting the stage for one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. But the story takes an even more bizarre turn. Imagine this, a commercial airplane flying high above the ground on a dark and stormy night. Suddenly, one of the passengers, a man who had called himself D.B. Cooper, stands up, straps on a parachute, and with a bag full of ransom money in hand, leaps into the unknown. It's hard to fathom what must have been going through Cooper's mind as he made the audacious decision to jump. The weather that night was far from ideal. A storm was brewing, the winds were high, and the visibility was low. The temperature outside was frigid, and the terrain below, a dense, unyielding forest. The risks were immense, and yet Cooper jumped. Picture the scene inside the plane in the moments after his daring exit. The remaining passengers and crew, unaware of Cooper's true intentions until that point, must have been in a state of utter shock. The audacity, the sheer nerve of the man, must have been incomprehensible. And what about the moment he hit the ground? Or did he even make it that far? Did he survive the bone-chilling cold, the whipping winds, the treacherous descent? Or did he succumb to the elements, his body lost forever in the vast wilderness below? These are questions that have haunted investigators and the public alike for decades. But regardless of his fate, one thing is certain: D.B. Cooper had vanished. He was there one moment, and then he wasn't. He had leapt not only from a plane but also from the world as we know it, into a realm of mystery and conjecture. In the blink of an eye, he had become an enigma, an unsolved riddle, a phantom. He was a man who had dared to do the unthinkable and then, just as quickly, had disappeared, leaving nothing but questions in his wake. Just like that, D.B. Cooper disappeared, leaving behind a baffled crew and an even more baffled world. The disappearance of Cooper sparked one of the most extensive manhunts in U.S. history. The Federal Bureau of Investigation was on the case, and their efforts were nothing short of Herculean. Picture this: a massive web of agents stretching across the nation, their sole purpose to find one elusive man who had seemingly vanished into thin air. The details of the case were painstakingly examined, every clue scrutinized, every lead pursued. The plane was scoured for evidence, the crew questioned, the passengers interrogated. The parachute Cooper used was analyzed, the ransom money traced. Yet despite their best efforts, the trail seemed to grow colder with each passing day. In the wake of Cooper's disappearance, the FBI faced a daunting task. The search area was vast, the circumstances peculiar, the suspect's identity a mystery. The operation was akin to finding a needle in a haystack, only this haystack was the size of the Pacific Northwest. Despite the odds, agents remained relentless in their pursuit. They chased down thousands of leads, interviewed countless individuals, and followed up on every possible angle. Yet each new lead seemed only to lead to another dead end. Over time, the case of D.B. Cooper became a symbol of an unsolvable puzzle, a question with no apparent answer. But then, almost a decade after the skyjacking, a glimmer of hope emerged. In 1980, a young boy stumbled upon a small cache of the ransom money along the Columbia River. But the discovery, while initially promising, only deepened the mystery. The money was deteriorated and the location remote. How it ended up there, and what it meant for Cooper's fate, remained as elusive as the man himself. The years turned into decades, and the case of D.B. Cooper continued to baffle and intrigue. Agents retired, leads dried up, theories came and went. Yet, the mystery persisted, the question lingered, the manhunt endured. And despite all the time, effort, and resources invested, one fact remained stubbornly unchanged. Despite decades of searching and investigating, the true identity of D.B. Cooper remains unknown. The story of D.B. Cooper has given rise to countless theories and speculations. As the only unsolved case of air piracy in commercial aviation history, it's a tale that has captured imaginations and spurred detective work across the globe. Let's delve into some of the popular theories surrounding this notorious heist. Some believe that Cooper was a seasoned skydiver, given his apparent knowledge of parachutes and the precise jump conditions. Others, however, argue that his choice of a two-parachute system, typically used by novices, suggests he was not an expert. Then, there's the question of Cooper's identity. Was he a disgruntled employee with a bone to pick with the airline industry? Some speculate he might have been a Vietnam War veteran, skilled in survival tactics, which would explain his daring escape. Still, others believe he might have been a CIA operative involved in covert operations, given the audacity and precision of the heist. As for his fate, theories range from him perishing in the harsh conditions of the Pacific Northwest to living a quiet, unassuming life under a new identity. Some even suggest that he could have fled the country, living out his days in a tropical paradise. This unsolved mystery has kept us hooked, inspiring countless books, films, and TV shows. The infamous hijacker has been portrayed as a daring anti-hero, a ruthless criminal, and even a ghost slipping away into the night, never to be seen again. Theories around the elusive D.B. Cooper are as diverse as they are fascinating. Each one adds a new layer to the enigma, feeding our collective curiosity and fascination. And despite the passage of over 5 decades, the case continues to intrigue, each unanswered question keeping the legend of D.B. Cooper alive. And so, the mystery of D.B. Cooper continues to captivate us. An enigma wrapped in a riddle, lost in the annals of history. Despite the criminal nature of his act, D.B. Cooper has become something of a folk hero. His audacious heist and subsequent vanishing act have captured the public's imagination, inspiring countless books, films, and even songs. The story of D.B. Cooper is a testament to our collective fascination with unsolved mysteries and the audacity of the human spirit. His daring act, committed in the face of overwhelming odds, has been romanticized over the years, turning Cooper into a symbol of rebellion against the establishment. The fact that he managed to disappear without a trace, eluding one of the most extensive manhunts in American history, only adds to his mythic status. However, it's important to remember that while the story of D.B. Cooper may be intriguing, it remains a tale of crime. As we continue to seek answers, the legend of D.B. Cooper lives on, reminding us of the enduring allure of an unsolved mystery.